the Liberals writ large have run deficits for a decade now. This is also one of the largest deficits outside of COVID. Is there a philosophy behind this? Are you into modern monetary theory? Are you a Keynesian?
Come on, Greg, you know better than to
how can Canadians be presented with continuing budget deficits with no plan to balance?
Okay. All right. First, we have the best balance sheet in the G7. We have one of the best in the OECD, so the 30 countries of the OECD. We have the second lowest deficit in the G7. We have one of the lowest deficits in the OECD. That continues to be the case over the forecast period. That's the first point. The second is the philosophy, the approach, as I think you know, or you would know from reading the first page of the budget, is that we are getting spending under control, slowing spending from 8% growth, which had been the case for the last decade, to less than 1%, so less than the rate of growth of the economy, by eliminating duplication, eliminating waste, cutting red tape, making the public service more productive, giving them new tools and making it more productive so that Canadians get not just the same service but better service with less. So we're doing that over the course. That's new. And any deficit financing is for the investment that is going to grow this economy. And that's the amount that leads to that $1 trillion of overall investment, which is worth, in the estimation of, well, half of that, candidly. It's only estimate. The estimate I gave you, the $3,500 per head for every Canadian, is based on only half of that amount. You'll find that in the budget documents. Hopefully you were in the lockup for several hours and you had time to read it. So that's the approach. And that's a different approach. It's an approach that grows the economy. And let's be clear where we are. We're in a situation where the change in U.S. tariffs, where the uncertainty caused by all the changes in the world and all the pressures in the world are holding our economy back. We choose to move forward. We choose Canada. We choose with confidence to invest in Canada. And that's what is going to bring us the prosperity that Canadians deserve. Yes.
Oh my goodness. We invest in Canada by going $78 billion into a deficit. Yeah. Well, as you can imagine, people are not happy with that. And one of the front runners on that unhappiness with it is Pierre Poilievre.
Liberals will now need support from other parties in order to have enough votes to pass this budget. Here's what opposition leaders had to say.
It was a very long speech, and given that this government is adding about $10 million to our national debt every single hour, I think we can say that while talk is cheap, it's very expensive when a Liberal finance minister does it.
I hardly see how, after having met with our caucus tonight, we could vote in favor of this budget. This is a red conservative budget, which Mr. Harper might have signed. And there's nothing for Quebecers in there.
We're not telegraphing anything. I'm a Jack Layton, New Democrat. We came to Parliament to make Parliament work. We want to be propositional, and we want to give this budget the serious once-over that it deserves. And we want to consult with Canadians.
Oh, yeah. Consult with Canadians. Well, Canadians have been telling you for quite some time that what you're doing is wrong, and the NDP doesn't listen. They don't freaking listen. We don't even have to worry about the NDP right now. That's the craziest part of all this, is the NDP is the least of our worries. They have been for the past couple of years, the forefront of our worries, but right now it's actually Conservative MPs that we have to worry about in this bizarre world where Conservatives are somehow jumping ship to the Liberals. It's a very weird thing. And if you're at a loss for words, just know that so am I. I can speculate as to why. I can put out a bunch of ideas. Are they getting paid? Are there incentives? Were they bribed? Were they threatened? I don't know. But it's all very, very bizarre.
Our senior business correspondent, Anne Gaviola, has been looking for what's in this budget for individual Canadians. Anne.
Well, Donna, the budget re-announced some commitments like the middle-class tax cut and scrapping the consumer carbon tax. But in terms of new things, not a lot of nuggets in the budget to appeal to everyday Canadians. There are items that are framed as lowering costs and protecting consumers that won't actually cost the federal government all that much, like a pledge to review bank fees and what financial institutions charge to send e-transfers and use ATMs. Also, a change that could be important to households living paycheck to paycheck. The feds are set to change the amount of money Canadians can immediately access from a deposited check, bumping it up to $150 from $100. The plan is also to allow faster access to funds deposited electronically, so a shortening of that waiting period. On the housing front, we already knew about the removal of GST for first-time home buyers.
Guys, Canada is saved because when you get a check for $200 and you deposit it, you used to have to wait and you could only have access to 100 of those dollars. But now you have access to 150 of those dollars. Oh my goodness, we're saved, man. All our problems are gone. That's incredible news. He says sarcastically.
As well as the Build Canada Homes Fund of more than $13 billion over 5 years. But surprisingly, nothing more or new aimed at improving housing affordability. Donna?
Right, and Gaviola, thank you.
The most important part was in that last 5 seconds.
Affordability. New aimed at improving. Surprisingly, nothing more or new aimed at improving housing affordability.
I love this so much. Not because this brings me joy, but because it's so pathetic.
But surprisingly, nothing more or new aimed at improving housing affordability.
Surprisingly, nothing new aimed at housing affordability. Yeah, but at least we can now access $150 immediately when you deposit a check instead of the measly $100, because we know that that's at the forefront of Canadians' minds, right? When you go to the grocery store, you're like, shit, I just deposited a check and the groceries are $125, but I only have $100 access. Oh, no, wait. No. With the new Liberal government, and the new Liberal government policy, I can now purchase my groceries because I have access to $150 with my freshly deposited check. I wish I just had like a table here that I could just turn around and fucking flip it when I'm angry. Just every time. Because I would be flipping it all the time. What the heck is going on in Canada? Does anybody know the answer? Because I don't. I see the retardation every day with like, hey, wow, look, Canadians got access to $150 on a freshly deposited check instead of $100. But the most important thing that we know is this right here.
Or new aimed at improving housing affordability. Dollars over 5 years, but surprisingly, nothing more or new aimed at housing affordability. Oh my God, dude. What the heck is the point? You know, like, what's the point of any of this? What's the point? Let me know down in the comments what the hell the point is. I feel sad and angry, confused, a whole bunch of different things. Let's see what the Conservatives say.
But when you listen to the government, they make this argument that this is investment that's needed to recharge, to recalibrate the Canadian economy in the face of Donald Trump's trade policies. How is this money not justified?
Not Canada's see what I'm saying? This is the stuff. This is the anti-American stuff. Donald Trump's trade policies. He's not well. We can't trust him. He's all over the place. It's always Trump's fault. Always. It's annoying to hear this.
Look, Michael, any family today that was looking to see lower grocery costs when they go to the grocery store, anyone that's seen their mortgage or rent doubled in the last 10 years because of failed Liberal policies, or anyone that's tired of seeing the increase in crime, they had no hope, and there's nothing in this budget for them. And believe it or not, the deficit is even higher than what Justin Trudeau had. And for someone who's a so-called banker and a great money manager, it's impossible to fathom that someone who calls himself a budget expert is going to spend even more money than Justin Trudeau. These are the same failed policies in the last 10 years that sent 2.2 million Canadians into a food bank into a single month, 700,000 which are children. And there's nothing in this budget to give those families a reprieve. And just like the public budgeting officer had said, that it's easy to say that it's capital spending, but the definition is so broad, it doesn't define anything. Anything can be an investment or a so-called investment in there, but spending is still spending. Debt is still debt at the end of the day.
Yeah, and people voted for this. People like this because you know what? Life is going to get worse but at least Canada has access to $150 off a freshly deposited check instead of the measly $100 that we once had, right? At least we have that going for us.
We're now getting word, and this is not news to you, that Chris D'Entremont, your former colleague, has now left the Conservative caucus. Is your party in danger of losing more members to the government and getting this budget passed?
Yes.
A true Conservative won't be able to vote for this budget that does not bring down the cost.
See, even he knows. He knows that there's more Conservatives that want to leave. Or else the answer would have been no. No one else is leaving. That we don't know why that happened. We're still trying to figure it out. But no, we don't have anyone else. If it was that clear that the Conservatives had their feet this firmly in the sand, then the answer immediately would have been no. Of course not. Fuck that guy, right? That guy, screw that guy. He's a liberal anyways. Get him out of here. Nope. That wasn't the answer.
Of housing that doesn't bring the cost of the out of control food inflation that's happening under the Liberals, or the fact that everything has just become more expensive. And for us to support something that a budget that literally is going to make life more expensive for Canadians, when more and more Canadians are lining up at food banks in record numbers, would not just be irresponsible, it would be the wrong thing to do for Canadians. We had 3 demands for this budget. They were very simple. Keep the deficit below $42 billion, get rid of the hidden food taxes that the Liberals have brought in, including the industrial carbon tax, which is going to increase, the food packaging tax, which adds on $1 billion, and get rid of Liberal inflation tax. None of those things happen, and it would be irresponsible on behalf of Canadians to vote for this budget that's going to make life more expensive.
Yeah, it's going to get passed. It's going to get passed because more Conservatives are going to be jumping ship. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more than just Matt that joins. I really wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, we're going to see what François-Philippe Champagne has to say about it.
So in looking at your budget, there seems to be 2 threads of criticism. The first one has to do with your tax measures, whether or not they have gone far enough to encourage investment in this country. We've heard business groups saying this is a start, but not enough, and you are going to need private capital to build this economy. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, I would say, honestly, if you look at the marginal effective tax rate, which is really what distinguishes, if you have to make an investment between different jurisdictions, whether you're looking at that level, we are going to be more competitive than the United States in terms of taxation. So that's the first thing. So people who are looking and say, where should I allocate capital in North America? Canada is the clear choice. That's the first one. And if you look at the productivity super deduction, I mean, this is something that business have been wanting. If you're a small business tonight, this is really good news, because the moment you invest now in plant equipment, in automation, in buildings, is to make sure you can manufacture in Canada, you have immediate expensing. I mean, this is like a game changer for entrepreneurs to supercharge their investment. And that's why I would say this is well done. The SHRED program, which is really that program for research and development, 60% of small business are using that. You know what they were asking us? Not only to make sure that we do what we had announced to enhance the program, but they were saying is making it more efficient. We've listened to them. We've said today, you know, before you had to make the expense, apply, and wait 2 or 3 years to see if it worked. Now you will be able to be pre-clear. So in a sense, you'll send what you want to do, and we're going to give you a response so you can go ahead with certainty and predictability. That is what business have been asking us to do. And I would say the tax deduction that we have, plus the investments tax credits that we have, makes Canada by large the most attractive place to invest.
Canada being one of the most attractive places to invest. I didn't have that on my bingo card. Oh my goodness. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments.